You know, I grew up a diehard Laker fan. Diehard. I mean, I knew everything about every player that's ever played here. So to be drafted and then traded to this organization and to spend 20 years here, I mean, you can't write something better than this. You know, thank you guys for all your sacrifice. You know, for all the hours I spent in the gym working and training, and Vanessa, you holding down the family the way that you have. I can't, there's no way that I can thank you enough for that. So, yeah, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And what can I say? Mamba out.
And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition here of On Deck here on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com with your familiar face, host of the Mass Steel Podcast. You usually catch me throughout the week on Mondays and Wednesdays. Charles Prodigy Richey right here. We're getting ready to kick off the show in just a moment here. I'm paying tribute to the late Kobe Bryant right now, who has left this world too soon about a year ago at the age of 41. The NBA world is still in mourning. Here are my tributes and favorite memories here coming up in just a sec. Plus, the rest of the show will be loaded with lots of football coming up to conclude the ways. More importantly, the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes right now. Will Deshaun Watson be with another team? Could that other team possibly be someone like the Chicago Bears down the future right now? He apparently his intent is hell-bent on getting out of Houston right now, and has taken down a lot of stuff on the social media related to the Texans, and we'll give you more on it later on. Plus, also too, throughout the show, Super Bowl 55 countdown. Buccaneers, they have done it. They're going to become the first team to host the Super Bowl in their home stadium. But now, can they finish the deal right now? Bring home their second Super Bowl trophy in franchise history. We'll get into that a lot more later on throughout the show. Yeah, if you guys want to share your topics, your questions for topics on today's show, you can definitely follow the ChicagolandSportsRadio.com Facebook page here at ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. You, of course, can follow myself on Twitter and Instagram at Prodigy Richey. You can also check me out on the Man Steel Podcast on Twitter. That is at Man Steel CGR on Twitter, and at Man Steel Nation on Instagram. So let's go ahead and get into it right now. As everyone may recall, a little over a year ago on January 26th, the scene of the incident right there, as Kobe Bryant was with his daughter Gianna right there. As remember, they were departing John Wayne Airport in Orange County at now 6 a.m. Pacific time, and the crash was reported at 9:47 in Calabasas, 30 miles outside of Los Angeles, headed to the Mamba Sports Academy training center for young athletes opened a year ago. They were on their way for Gigi's youth basketball game, and there was reportedly another parent and player. Cause of the crash was unknown, but still, nonetheless, you see here Kobe Bryant and his daughter leaving this world so soon right there. And you take a look at it. I mean, at that time, at the ages of 41 years old and 13 for his daughter Gianna right there, leaving his widowed wife behind, and just very sad time right now. And unfortunately, I mean, this is just something right now we hold them in our hearts, but just a time we would like to forget. Just a crash. Then you think about everything that's happened like later on. Shortly, what happened later after that? You started having the coronavirus and everything started happening. I mean, shortly after the Super Bowl, you had the boxing fight with Tyson Fury go in there. I mean, in that time, and then just everything else. But man, it was just a sad moment for, I mean, just worldwide. Anyone just being a parent of any kind right there, and just having to be separated from your loved one. I mean, just leaving that soon. It was definitely a tragic time. I mean, at the end of the day. But at the same time, too, I mean, the memories of what this man has become, I mean, what he's embodied, I mean, the Black Mamba. I mean, you look at everything that he's went through throughout his whole career, going from high school straight over to the NBA. I mean, when you look at this guy, and growing up a lot of time in his childhood in Italy with his father. And just the overall toughness that Kobe Bryant brought to the NBA. I mean, the extra side of it. Even when Michael Jordan was in his final 3 seasons, I mean, and then before he came back for 2 more, but still, I mean, remember a lot of people at Kobe Bryant's memorial right there at the Staples Center a year ago. Saw Michael Jordan come out there. Definitely heartbroken like everyone else was too, and really referred to him as a little brother. I mean, in life. I mean, just having to lose a guy that's significant, and it was just devastating. I still can't be able to find the words. I mean, that put in. I remember just hearing Showtime basketball right there. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, at that time, but it's definitely an interesting time right now, to say the least. I mean, when you look at it, and with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, they did like an interview with him over a year ago, and just pixelating his whole career. I remember one of the few things too before Kobe Bryant did pass away. I think earlier that summer, I remember he made like one little slight joking remark at Shaq. He was saying like, "Yeah, probably got more championships if Shaquille O'Neal was a lot more better shape." I mean, and he was, and I thought that was like on one thing right there that definitely kind of like just made me chuckle a little bit. But at the same time too, I mean the overall intensity, the patience he brought with, and just overall his loyalty to like the Lakers organization. I mean, not only what he meant to the Lakers, but just to the world of basketball and sports. I mean, he was a guy who just had took no prisoner attitude right there. He was a guy who always demanded better of himself and anyone around his teammates, and just something that could not be taught. At the end of the day, I mean, he's a guy right here who definitely leaves us with a lot of fond memories, to say the least, but definitely heartbroken to say. I will say this as far as favorite Kobe Bryant memories. How can you argue? I think with the 81-point game against the Toronto Raptors in 2006, which Jalen Rose, I think, was still a part of at that time. I think he was on that Raptors team. And I gotta admit, I was one of the first people who looked at it, and I kind of like said, like, man, how much more you gotta like really prove at that time. I mean, just really, I mean, look at it and see what he's done. I mean, it's like it just I call it like selfish at that point, but at the same time too. I mean, looking back at it, I mean, it's the greatness. I will say behind Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game, I thought that was a lot more tougher for him to do, because it's like you're doing shots from many different angles, a lot more jump shots, driving to the basket. Not only that, he was also hitting threes. Now, you could also argue that Wilt Chamberlain's was probably a little bit hard because you didn't have a 3-point line back in the time in his era when he played the game of basketball. I mean, he had a lot more hustle points. I mean, a lot of playing being a big man, be able to post up inside and do some other athletically physical gifted skills at his size. I just feel like right now, I mean, aside from that too, I remember there was a slam dunk where he made Yao Ming right there. I mean, that was another. I think another one too that really spoke off me was his last championship they won a little over 10 years ago. Being the Boston Celtics, being the first Laker franchise to be a Boston Celtics franchise in a 7-game final, which they've never done before, and just see them get that. I mean, with his team and playing with Phil Jackson, I feel it was a lot. But I mean, obviously, treasure a lot more Shaq and Kobe Bryant moments right there. You think of the alley oop, Shaquille O'Neal in the 2000 Western Conference Finals, Game 7 against the Trailblazers. I think they were trailing by 13 points with a little over 4 minutes left to go. I remember I was crying. I was a big Shaq fan at the time. But I will say this, but I was glad to see the Lakers win it in Phil Jackson's first year with that team. And I knew they were going to deliver a championship together with that trio. But at the end of the day, man, he is long gone. We'll continue to pay salute, man. And as Kobe Bryant would always want, Mamba out. So anyway, that's going to do it for this first segment here, kicking off here on Deck. Coming up, commercial break, we're going to be gaining some NFL extra points football as Deshaun Watson. How likely is it will he be with our team, and will we see this more return with some more quarterbacks? Watch and listen on Deck on CSR.
Mamba out.